Hey there, I'm Tony Patterson, career coach to corporate professional women who are looking to find a career and a job that they love. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was kind of how to prepare for interviews in this new kind of stay-at-home world that we're in. So um, look, for a lot of us, even if we've ever kind of done a video interview before, it was not, the way that we're going to need to do it now, right? You might have been in your office or in a very quiet space, and your interviewer was in their office or in a very quiet space, and it was one-on-one. There was no distractions and that sort of thing, and so you could, spend your 30 minutes and get it done. That's not really the life that we're living in right now. So here are kind of a few tips that I think will be helpful for you. So the first is hopefully the most straightforward, and that is that you need to, whether this is interview virtually, over video, or whether this is interview in person, you need to prepare the same way, right? You need to be as prepared for this interview over the internet as you would if you were sitting directly in front of the person. So that's all the things. The very basic, which is going onto the company website and doing your research there. Like, that's the absolute bare minimum. That's the price of admission. I hope you know that. If not, we should talk. But then also the other type of preparedness that I recommend, which is, like kind of really deeply researching the values of the company, deeply researching, the people that you're going to be interviewing with, really looking into what keeps them up at night, being ready to ask insightful questions related to that, bring your expertise related to that. All the preparedness that you would have done if you were going to meet them in person, you need to continue to do that. So, practicing answering standard interview questions, doing a bit of research to see what kind of interview questions this type of employer typically asks. Sometimes, employers have a particular style of questions. If you do the research the right way, you can sometimes find out what style of questions that they typically ask, and practice, get a friend or someone to ask you those questions, or just ask them yourself and practice answering those questions, all that kind of stuff. And then really doing what, I always recommend, which is to get super clear on your value add and being able to present that, to your interviewer, during the interview. So that will happen as a normal practice, regardless of the type of interview, in person or virtual. Now, specific to the fact that we are now, your next interview will most likely be over the internet, will most likely be in this format, like I'm doing here, over video. One of the things that I really want you to think about is just kind of be human, right? So whereas typically if the interview was face-to-face, there are no distractions. It's you, it's another person, there's not a lot else going on, and it's easy to stay in the zone and stay focused, right? Now you will be at home and your interviewer will be at home. So, if you have things going on at home, you have pets, you have your partner, if you have kids, you have your kid, whoever else or whatever else is going on. Like, even as I'm talking to you right now, the way I'm facing, I can see cars going by, there's a lot that could be going on. So it's a lot harder to be kind of in the zone, and things could happen, right? We've all seen that video, with that reporter from BBC, where he's doing a very serious interview for BBC News, and his, 2 kids come running in the room. That could happen, right? That could happen. But what's good about the time that we're living in right now is that everybody's trying to figure that out, right? Everybody's working from home and trying to find a corner to, navigate and try to do, really professional, serious work while life is going on around them. So if that does happen to you, just be human about it. There's no need to get frazzled or flustered. Just handle it the best you can, apologize, and keep going. Likewise, it could very well happen to your interviewer, right? That's something you would never see normally because of the nature of these interviews. But, his or her life could be going, the dog could come running in, or, the spouse or the kids or whatever it is. I mean, like even as I'm talking to you right now, I've like explicitly told my daughter, I'm about to do a video, so don't, like, shh. And she's, singing at the top of her lungs, right? So this is just, it is, it is what it is. You roll with it. And you just, everyone is being compassionate right now. Everyone is like, there's extreme humanity that I'm seeing that's so beautiful, that I'm loving. And if it carries over into your interview, then that's fine, right? It just is okay. And so I'm sharing that with you so that when and if, and maybe more likely when than if it happens, you just go with it and it's fine. Now, something we've never really had to think about, right, in a face-to-face interview is the lighting. So lighting on video is so, so key. Just think about a picture that you've seen, kind of like lit up versus kind of in the shadows, right? You've taken a picture with and without flash, you know how different that looks. And whereas in face-to-face in an interview, like with a person face-to-face, you can actually look into their eyes, they can look into your eyes, they can fully perceive and understand your body language and your gestures, right? You've got to make sure that when you're doing a video interview that they can do that. They can see you clearly, they can see everything that's going on, they can see your eyes, they can perceive your gestures and your body language. So let me just show you, so I am in a room that has good light. It's not totally sunny here, it's a little overcast, but there's good light coming in, and I still have lighting with me. So let me just show you what it looks like without the lighting. So I'm going to turn them both off so you can see the difference, right? So you can still see me, but it feels dreary, it feels down, it feels kind of dark, right? Whereas with the lighting on, like even without me saying anything, like I just feel brighter, more upbeat, like just more energy. And that's what you want to bring to the interview. So, and that's not to say that you need to, buy some super expensive lighting kit. And that's not even what I have. So what I'm saying is like, perhaps you have some extra lamps that you can ensure that you, like maybe when you're working in your office, there's a standard lamp that you use, but maybe you want it for an interview to bring in some extra lamps or some extra lighting. Or a lot of kids, right, have lighting that they use on their phone or when they're doing their videos. Maybe you can borrow that for the interview. Right? Or if you did want to get some sort of like small, not too expensive lighting kit because you're very much in your interview season, right? You're out there, you're looking, that we're going to be doing a lot of interviews by video and you just want to have it, then you can, easily go to Amazon. They're very inexpensive lighting that you can purchase. I mean, when it's like under $100, right? You can get very good lighting that you could use for this purpose and then for other purposes. And then of course, like I said, if you have kids, I mean, they can also use the lighting for other things, their pictures and their videos or whatever. But lighting is extremely important. Now, whether or not you are, for the next thing, whether or not you are going to do your interview on your phone or on your computer is something else you should be thinking about in advance, right? I think there are pros and cons to both. With your computer, I find that if you're doing, say, a Zoom call, right? If this is going to be like an interview over Zoom or Skype, I find that the connectivity tends to be better on the computer. In my experience, it tends to be better on a computer as opposed to on your phone. So, that's something you might want to think about, right? So you might want to think about the connectivity issue because you want to ensure that you're hearing all their questions without having to repeatedly ask them to, say that again, I didn't hear you, and also you want them to hear your complete answers, right? So I think the connectivity is slightly better on a computer. However, the lighting, in my experience, tends to be slightly better on your phone, right? So the adjustments for the lighting, like if you're feeling like, you don't have, all the extra lighting that you might need to make sure that they can see your eyes and see your gestures, then you might want to use it on your phone. Now, if you do decide that, well, for whatever reason, or maybe you only have your phone, or you just really prefer how you appear on video from your phone and you just want to use your phone, that's fine. But then what I would suggest is that you invest in or borrow your kids very inexpensive little tripod for the phone, right? Because I'm sure we all have done FaceTimes or WhatsApp videos or whatever when we're talking to a family member or a friend and we're holding the phone in our hand while we're having those conversations. Obviously, if you're doing an actual, job interview, you're not going to be holding your phone. So I have my phone right here. So it would be the equivalent of like holding my phone while, I guess I would hold it like this while I'm doing an interview, right? You want to be able to gesture, you want to be able to, write things down. And so if you are going to use your phone, I would recommend just, going on Amazon and investing in a very inexpensive phone tripod, the little short ones that you can just put on your desk or something so that you can have your hands free. Or you could, there are tons of, I guess, more expensive things you can do. I don't see that that's necessary. You can just, buy something really expensive, or as I said, especially if you have teenagers, you probably already have one of those in your house. You can just borrow your kids, right? Now, the other thing is kind of where to look. So we are naturally, when we're doing video, our natural inclination is to kind of look at ourselves. And that it doesn't really matter, right? If you're doing WhatsApp or you're doing, WhatsApp video or FaceTime or Skype, with a friend or family member or whatever it is, like socially, it doesn't matter if you're kind of looking at yourself, like who cares? And, this is someone you know well, and they're not, longing to look deeply into your eyes, right? Necessarily. But when you are doing an interview over video, it's important to know where to look, because again, unlike the face-to-face scenario, you've got to work a lot harder to make sure that you're looking someone directly into their eyes, or that they're looking directly into your eyes. So typically the way it would work is, like, say on a Zoom call, you would have an image of yourself and an image of that person. And you might think that you're kind of doing the right thing by looking at that person on the screen, but it doesn't actually play out that way in the video. It looks to them like you're not looking at them, right? And so let me give you an example. So right now I'm using my PC for this video, and I have a webcam at the top, and I'm looking into my webcam, right? And that's what I do to, so that you can see directly into my eyes, and so that it appears as though I'm looking at each one of you. But now I'm going to look at myself, and so just so that you can see the difference, right? So now I'm looking at myself. I'm looking directly at myself in my video, and I'm sure that it no longer looks like I'm looking at you, right? Because I'm busy looking at myself. So do you see the difference, right? It's the difference between looking here, which is where the camera is, and looking down here, right? One, it slouches me over, but then also it breaks the connection, right? Which is why we look up here. So again, on my phone, we have the tendency to look here, right? This is where we look when we're talking at other people, like when we're taking pictures of ourselves, when we're taking videos of ourselves, and when we're talking to other people. We look here, or if there's like there'll be a small picture of ourselves here, and we'll look at the other person here. And it's okay for personal, but the camera on the phone is actually it's right here. It's all the way up here. So if you are using your phone, then you need to make all your best efforts to look here. Not here, but here. And it will feel a bit awkward to you because the person is on the screen itself, but the eye contact that you want, the perceived eye contact comes from looking directly into the camera. So that's something else that you should be thinking about as you are doing these video interviews. Now, the next tip is to practice, right? So normally when you have an interview, you practice, all the questions and answers, and maybe you practice, if you know that you have a tic or something, like maybe you practice keeping that together. certain things, certain words that you say, certain gestures or whatever. But here, you also need to practice how you come across on video. And that's new, right? So you can do this in a couple of ways. You can just enlist a friend and, go on your WhatsApp or your Skype or whatever it is, your FaceTime, and just do a few questions with them and practice how it looks, how you come across, whether you're feeling, natural, what the lighting is looking like. You might want to practice where the interview is going to take place so that you can see what the background is, what are they seeing? And then, if you don't have a friend or, you've kind of worn them thin with all your interview practicing stuff, you can just video it, videotape yourself answering a few questions. How does it sound? How does it sound, like literally in terms of the sound of it? How did the answer sound? Do you seem stiff because it's video? Is the lighting good? Is the background not distracting? All those things. So it's kind of an added thing that you need to do. But if done well, it will be very beneficial to you, because a lot of people aren't going to do this, right? A lot of people aren't going to practice. They're just going to jump on the video and do it, and they're going to be in half darkness. They're going to be looking at the wrong place on the screen. They're going to, let the distractions get to them. They're going to have, a very kind of busy background that will distract your interviewer. You don't want your interviewer trying to figure out what those pictures are in the background. You want your interviewer focused on you, right? So these are the ways that you can practice in advance, finding the right place, taking some video recordings of yourself and that sort of. Hope this helps. As always. So, and continue to stay safe, continue to be healthy, continue to, as best you can, find the beauty in everything that's going on right now. And I'll see you next week.